So there will be storms, and there likely will be tornadoes developing in that watch area over the next hour or two. So again, up around Kansas City and up around the Nebraska area, prepare. We got to zoom in on the area now. There's ICT. Here again, Western Harper and Kingman County, severe thunderstorm warning. That'll go till the top of the hour. We've had a history of hail in that storm, and also big storm now north of Salina, and that is up along Highway 135, and that is in Cloud County. That is a severe thunderstorm warning. That'll go until 2:45 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I want to show you now a better perspective. Move on down north of Oklahoma City along Interstate 35. So if you're heading west out of Wichita, before you get to Pratt, you'll encounter these big storms, and they mean business. And it appears now a secondary cell forming down here, and it looks like that entire line will form and then blow on east into eastern Oklahoma as well as into eastern areas of Kansas over the next couple of hours. So prepare now for some pretty nasty weather in and around Wichita. And again, Dennis Smith is standing live. We'll have Dennis hopefully at the top of the hour, and he'll be giving us a detail on what's happening in that given area now. But you can see the drier air working into Kansas, into Oklahoma. This little white line, Concordia down to near Wichita, that is the leading edge of that dry air, and that is where we're looking for the formation of severe storms as well as the tornadoes possible in the next couple of hours. Here again, the tornado watch, parts of Nebraska and Kansas, and that'll go until 8 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Farther on south into Oklahoma, tornado watch till 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And we also now have a severe thunderstorm watch, and that'll go until 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time, parts of Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Again, we'll monitor the situation. Dennis will be live. We'll be talking to him out of Wichita at the top of the hour. Right now, let's get our forecast, and we'll turn it back to the studio.
Thanks so much, Bill. And we do off to the northeast, north of Salina now, all the way on up, headed toward Concordia in Kansas. Also another thunderstorm cell developing off to the southwest of Wichita, and we are continuing to watch those thunderstorms move off to the north and northeast. The big thunderstorms around the Chanute area have since dissipated as they moved off to the northeast, and we now have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Kingman County in Kansas, so please do keep that in mind. Well, we want to tell you about the rainfall amounts we've picked up so far in the last day. In fact, over the last 27 hours, two separate thunderstorm cells there. And if we can, let's zoom in on these areas real quickly. A minute ago, we reported that there was a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Kingman County. Well, that we'd like to amend that and correct that. It's not a severe thunderstorm warning. It is a tornado warning. There is a tornado warning now in effect until 3:15 the local time for Kingman County, and there's a developing tornado that has been spotted right about here. You'll see this thunderstorm cell right there. It's moving off to the northeast at about 30 miles an hour. Take cover immediately if you're in that area. A quick look now. Wintry travel across the east
rapidly just west of Wichita toward Hutchinson as we head up toward Chanute and Concordia. These are heading toward the north-northeast. One area just to the east of these severe thunderstorms is Wichita, Kansas. Let's go live to Wichita, Kansas, see what's happening there with Dennis Smith.
Keith, the big news here is the wind. It continues to crank from a southerly direction, about 25 to 35 miles an hour. I'm going to give you a little tour of what the skylight looks like around the Wichita area. We'll start towards the south. You can see a little break between thunderstorm cells, a little bit lighter right in that immediate area. Now, as we sweep back around towards the west, you'll be able to see how the clouds thicken up a little bit and darken, and especially off in that general direction right in there represents where that tornadic storm has been reported to the southwest of where our location is right now. It's moving through extreme northeastern sections of Kingman County. That's immediately south and west of Sedgwick County. That's the county we're sitting in right now around the Wichita, Kansas vicinity. We've seen the clouds darken. We've seen the precipitation continue to our west. We've seen the clouds blow up earlier today and move on out of the state and brought some very heavy rainfall already in this immediate area, mainly between Wichita and Ponca City and points to the east. But as we're watching the skies this afternoon, our vantage point here from Wichita, once again we're seeing a darkening of the clouds to the south and west. We've had reports of as large as baseball-size hail in Kingman County immediately to our south and west. The cells are moving towards the north and east. So any of the residents in around the Kingman area, Sedgwick County, Harvey County, and also through Sumner County, be on your guard because you may need to move to a place of safety. Again, we've seen some thunderstorms during the course of the morning. That kind of cool conditions around here, and as it continued to blow up during the afternoon, we're seeing a new line develop. As you can see right there on the left-hand portion of your screen in central Kansas, that represents what we call the dry line, the drier air filtering filtering in against that moisture that we're still sitting in, and that's helping to kick off the thunderstorms. Very heavy thunderstorms across central Kansas, anywhere from Salina to our vantage point here in the Wichita, Kansas area. We'll continue to keep you updated. We'll continue to keep a very close eye on the skies, especially to the south and west, for any threatening conditions that may be developing, and we will keep you updated all across the country. Keith?
All right, thanks, Dennis. That's Dennis Smith in Wichita, Kansas. Let's go ahead and review a couple of those watches for you, a couple of tornado watches that are in effect from Nebraska down through Kansas. Also, as we head down into Oklahoma, a particularly dangerous situation, the Severe Storms Forecast Center says, and we will continue to update you on the progress of these thunderstorms. Let's see what the forecast calls for tonight. Through tomorrow, go back to the studio.
Okay. Yes. And right around Concordia, we have possible radar, at least from a radar perspective, a possible tornado from a radar perspective, and then on down into Kansas, some pretty hefty thunderstorms as well. Let's show you the tornado watches in effect this afternoon until 8 this evening, covering Nebraska, on down into Kansas.
Breaking out now up into the northern plain states, we're looking at thunderstorms continuing to work across the southern part of Minnesota and on into Wisconsin, but still in the northeast corner of Iowa. Still pretty good sized thunderstorms. They are very much on the increase now in eastern Nebraska near the Lincoln area, just southwest of there, and on back down into Washington County as Kansas. There's tornado warning in effect there, with a tornado reported down in the Washington County area, so folks in that part of Kansas should take cover immediately. We can go on to the south and give you a good idea of what's going on out of around Macomb, Mississippi.
For northeastern Kansas, we have a tornado warning out for this county, this cell. Washington County tornado possible indicated or possibly indicated by radar just northeast of Concordia here. It's pulling quickly on toward the northeast, and as we head down to the south, there are still some strong thunderstorms down around ICT. That's Wichita, Kansas. Let's go there live and see what's happening with Dennis Smith.
Thank you, Keith. We're keeping a close eye on the situation here. Since we reported to you last, we've been watching that cell that was in the Kingman County area producing baseball-sized hail pass just to our west. It appears to us it's even weakened somewhat, and it continues to move on off towards the northeast direction, so that's passing just to our immediate west. We're also watching for the possible development of some other thunderstorms trying to get their act together farther to our south. This would be pointing towards the south and west, and again, seeing some buildups. What surprises me thus far in the coverage that we've had this afternoon is I haven't seen any lightning popping out of the clouds yet. They seem to contain a lot of blowing dust too. We've seen an obscuration at times down to a couple of miles in blowing dust, and the winds are the main responsibility for that. Still from a southerly direction at about 15 to 25, occasionally up to about 35 miles an hour. It wasn't too many years ago we had some problems in this heartland of America, especially for Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, on up through Wisconsin. It was just about this same time of year. In fact, it was on April 26th and 27th. They reported in 1984, they reported numerous tornadoes with as many as 16 dead. This part of the country is not that unfamiliar with what goes on this time of year. They're always on their toes. In fact, the tornado watch remains in effect for this part of the country, including most of Kansas, and severe thunderstorm watches down into areas of Oklahoma. We'll stay on top of the situation, keep you updated and informed, and we'll report to you live from Wichita, Kansas.
All right, thanks, Dennis. And right now, we'll go ahead and check those severe watches for you as we look into
northern Chase County, that's in the vicinity of Kingman, has again had marble-sized hail reported. Kingman County has had golf ball and baseball-sized hail during the afternoon. There's tornado watch in effect. That part of the country that's just been issued. Kansas right in through here is just to the north of that we now have a report of a large tornado on the ground, and we have a radar of that. We can go to that radar right now. You can get an idea. This is over about a 3-hour period, and this is the cell that contains the large tornado in Washington County in the northern parts of Kansas that is continuing to work its way to the northeast at about 35 miles an hour. So Washington County is under a tornado warning. That'll be in effect till 4:15 Central Time, and people in this area are expected to take cover immediately. Now let's go to the early morning.
And things starting to quiet down. Little windy behind this storm system. Snow continues.
Also, the Gulf.
Live to Wichita and see what the latest is there with Dennis Smith.
Keith, it looks like the winds continue to hustle on by at 25 to 35 miles an hour. Very strong winds creating some blowing dust problems here in the Wichita area. We've noticed in our observations over the last 1 hour period that winds are still from the south. They have not crossed that dry line, that same feature that's helping to produce those thunderstorms that have been bombarding areas of south central, and even northeastern Kansas. We're keeping an eye on it both on the radar as well as scanning through the skies. Right now it's fairly dark to our west and to our northwest. We're seeing some recent development over the last 5 or 10 minutes of some more of those thunderheads or cumulonimbus clouds, but so far not too much in the way of lightning reports or any heavy rains in this immediate area. If we look at the radar over the last several hours, we'll be able to determine how these thunderstorm cells have been flaring on up and moving rapidly on off towards the northeast. ICT is where our location is. You can see that HUT Hutchinson, the thunderstorm has been crossing through between us as well as moving on up towards the north. You can see that big red blob up by CNK representing the cell in Washington County. But our attention is drawn to the south and west of ICT. You can see, since those continue to move towards the northeast and continue to build up, we will also continue to monitor the situation and stay right on top of it. Just like we're passing along the information to you, if there were any conditions that would threaten our lives in this immediate area, of course we would do just the way we instructed to you. Seek immediate shelter, move indoors, move to a place of safety. Lowest level is the best. If you don't have a basement, move to an interior hallway or closet. Those are the same conditions we will be experiencing if a tornado were to move into our immediate area. So we're keeping an eye on the sky, keeping an eye on the radar, and keeping you updated from Wichita, Kansas.
All right, thanks, Dennis. That's Dennis Smith reporting live from Wichita, Kansas. Let's just give you a review of where our severe weather is this evening. 2 parts in Nebraska and down into Kansas. We have a tornado watch.
The plains now, and you can see these bright white clouds showing up where we are getting reports of those severe thunderstorms. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at what's going on with our radar right now. We'll take you right there into the middle of the country, and we've got a real close shot here, so let me tell you where we are here. This is Concordia, Kansas. That's Lincoln, Nebraska, Omaha. Here's St. Joseph, Missouri, and MCI is the station reporting there for Kansas City in Missouri. A very powerful thunderstorm cell here has just skirted east of Concordia in Kansas. It is now moving to the northeast at 30 miles an hour. Some other thunderstorms off to the west of the Lincoln area. Get out of the way so that you can just see the movement of those thunderstorms right there. And I want to grab this warning because this is the area now being affected. There is a tornado warning now in effect until 4:45 local time for Gage County in southeastern Nebraska. It's due to this thunderstorm cell here. This radar, we're trying to get it updated. It's just a few minutes old, but the actual storm now has crossed over into southeastern Nebraska, and Gage County in southeastern Nebraska is under a tornado warning until 4:45 local time. It looks like the tornado should be in the Holenberg area very, very shortly, so take cover immediately if you're in that area. A look now at our national radar, and we'll give you an idea of the rain across the country. Some big thunderstorms down around the Gulf of Mexico as well, and a lot of rain around New Orleans, Louisiana. We have pictures to show you out of the New Orleans area, and take a look at the wet weather there, Gulf of Mexico as well. Let's get a little closer perspective on a couple of areas for you. We'll take a look right now at what's happening in southeastern Minnesota. A few thunder showers popping up off to the northeast of Rochester, Minnesota, just to the northwest of La Crosse in Wisconsin. These thunderstorms are moving off basically to the northeast right now. As we take it a little farther south into the Plains states, you can begin to see some big thunderstorms just south of Lincoln in Nebraska, off to the north of Emporia and north of Wichita. Some very heavy thunderstorm cells as well. This thunderstorm cell here has gone severe, possible tornado with it in Washington County.
Just northwest of Emporia, that's heading to the northeast. There is a tornado warning out for that area, and otherwise numerous reports of hail and wind damage. We will see more of that. Let's go ahead and see exactly what's happening there in Wichita, Kansas. We'll go live now to Dennis Smith. Dennis.
Thank you, Keith, as we continue to monitor the scene from south central Kansas here in Wichita. As we scan the skies at this particular hour, once again you can see fairly dark. We're not seeing any significant lightning popping as of yet this afternoon. We've seen some storms build up to our south and west around Kingman County, then travel on up into Harvey County, leaving in its wake a path of some golf ball to baseball size hail. One report of a tornado in Kingman County. That was earlier this afternoon, about 2 hours ago. We'll bring you up to date on the radar status right now and show you what's on the radar. and then look at the skies again to show you what's happening out there. Again, a lot of strong thunderstorms building up from EMP Emporia. We're standing just about in the middle of that ICT and seeing the dark clouds to our west as we continue to see them flare up and move rapidly to the north and east. Now, even though we've seen those heavy thunderstorms pass by and skirt north and west of town already earlier today, it doesn't mean it's all over with, because if you look back to the south and west, they're still building up in Oklahoma, they're still building up south and west of Wichita, and since they're still moving rapidly on off towards the northeast, there still could be the possibility of some severe weather with gusty winds, even stronger than what they are right now. We're reporting surface winds up to 40 miles an hour, and that's outside of thunderstorm cells, so we could potentially see damaging wind, damaging hail, and even the possibility of some tornadoes. If such were to be reported, just like we would pass along to any of our Weather Channel viewers, we would seek immediate shelter, and for you and us, that means seek indoors, get an interior hallway or closet. If you have a basement, that's the safest place to be. If not, again, interior hallway, closet, and cover yourself up with a blanket or perhaps a sheet or something to protect yourself from flying debris. We will stay right on top of the situation. We will continue to monitor the storms that are developing in south central Kansas and keep you updated. Keith?
All right, thanks, Dennis. That's Dennis Smith reporting live from Wichita, Kansas, just one of the areas we expect to see severe weather this evening. And indeed, we have a number of watches out there. Let's kind of hone in on just a few of those. Tornado watches in effect for parts of Nebraska until Kansas until 8 o'clock Central Daylight Time. To the north now, a brand new one has been issued for parts of South Dakota. Still a couple more from western Iowa down into eastern Kansas until 10 o'clock. To the south in Oklahoma, things should start cooking here in the next couple of hours until 9 o'clock. 8 tornado watches in effect, and 2 more severe thunderstorm watches.
But again, the whole line is starting to fire back down into Oklahoma. This is the dry line, leading edge of that very dry air, running up against that very moist field of air, and believe me, it's going to get pretty nasty next couple of hours in and around Enid and Wichita, and then eventually Kansas City and the greater Omaha area. Also down in Florida, a fair amount of rainfall right along I-10, but the greater threat for these, so up into the northern parts of Kansas and Washington County and in nearby Saline County in Nebraska. Matter of fact, up there in Saline County, Nebraska, they continue under a tornado warning. And also we have notification a tornado warning continues just to the outside of Topeka in Waubonsee County. They remain under a tornado warning for a little while longer. High risk area, and accordingly we have a whole bunch of tornado watches for you now. There's one in Nebraska, and now along the Nebraska border, right up in here, Saline and Jefferson County under a tornado warning for a little while longer. And if you're traveling, looks like everything just a little north and west of the Kansas Turnpike, but watch out along Interstate 70. And then later on this evening, as everything's going to propagate east, watch out Kansas City and Leavenworth and up around the Omaha area as everything is gradually going to funnel on out to the east. Let's look at the rainfall that has accumulated now.
Parts of Kansas up to Nebraska and southward at Oklahoma. Additionally, we could see some strong thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast. A warm front, which has been sitting along the northern Gulf of Mexico, will gradually shift north tonight. And with it, you'll see a return to the wet weather across most of northern Alabama, Georgia.
Got some hefty thunderstorms here, and we're seeing some tornadoes spawn from the thunderstorms this afternoon, generally moving up to the northeast at around 35 miles per hour. Taking you further on up for another peek into parts of Nebraska and Oklahoma. The hefty thunderstorms just south of Lincoln, Nebraska here, and those extend right on up the further north we go. Once again, moving up to the northeast at around 35 miles per hour. Also some severe weather in parts of Arkansas, just east of Hot Springs and just northwest of Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Pretty heavy thunderstorm there.
We'll see more, at least the threat for tornadoes to come into that area as the evening wears on. One of those areas that saw a tornado just to the west was Wichita, Kansas. Let's go live to Wichita now and see what's happening there with Dennis Smith.
Thank you so much, Keith. To complement what you've already reported, here we are in Wichita and show you the scene of what's going on right now. Pretty dark, not much definition. We can't really define the clouds that much. We've had a lot of blowing dust filtering in on the strong south winds during the day, and pretty much a solid sheet of gray at this particular time. We've been noticing on the radars, in addition to what we're seeing visually here, is a lot of showers and thunderstorms are building up to our west. In fact, now would be a good opportunity to take a look at the radar of the entire Kansas-Oklahoma area. On it, you'll be able to see how the showers and thunderstorms have built up. The cell near TOP, Topeka, In Wabunsee County at Eskridge, they've reported a tornado with that cell, and it continues to move northeast at 35. Residents of Wabunsee County should seek shelter at this time, including residents around the Topeka area. The solid yellow and red representing some heavier cells. We are located at ICT. You got an idea what it looks like in our backyard by seeing the dark gray clouds. We're also keeping a close eye on that cell that's to our south and west of ICT, and it looks like it continues to move north and east. We haven't heard any reports of any severe weather thus far out of that particular cell, but any residents of Kansas and northern Oklahoma, and as Keith is reporting, anywhere up and down through the midsection of the country, lots of severe weather has the potential of building up. Our conditions right here, right now, are still quite breezy. South winds still gusting up to about 35-40 miles an hour. No rain has been reported here for hours. We had some earlier this morning, and we'll tell you about that on our next live update. And also, we've seen a lot of blowing dust, obscuring the clouds just a little bit. The sun was out earlier, but now it looks like it's a solid overcast of clouds. Very breezy, very sticky, and keeping a close eye out for those heavy thunderstorms building to our southwest. Keith?
All right, thanks, Dennis. Indeed, Dennis, they're live in Wichita, Kansas. Active weather out there west of that area and all the way up to Nebraska. Let's go ahead and show you where the watches are this evening, and a number of tornado watches are in effect.
Nebraska, Kansas, and Oklahoma, incredibly intense storms this afternoon, and some of those have spawned tornadoes. We have numerous tornado watches in effect. We'll be showing those to you coming up in the half hour. I'll zoom in here now to Nebraska and show you what's happening. Have a report of a tornado that ripped on through Beatrice, Nebraska here, heading on up towards Lincoln, Nebraska. Additional powerful thunderstorms around Washington County in northeast Kansas, and in Wabunsee County, that's west of Topeka, central part of Wabunsee County, 2 tornadoes reportedly on the ground, moving off to the northeast at about 40 miles an hour. And that's not the end of it, because farther south, more severe weather popping up. Now, the Weather Channel's Dennis Smith is in Wichita, Kansas, right here, ICT, and he will be reporting live coming up at the bottom of the hour. You can see severe storms southwest of Wichita now, tremendous thunderstorms. Some of the tops on these thunderstorms are now up to about 55 to 57,000 feet in the atmosphere. A very active evening coming up, but we'll keep you closely posted. Coming up, all the current weather for you. Stick around.
And between Alma and Interstate 70, another tornado was reported close to Highway 99 and Interstate 70, very active throughout that region. We also see another watch area that includes parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and takes you right on up into Nebraska as well. As a matter of fact, into Nebraska and taking you further to the north and until 10 o'clock Central Daylight Time, and even into Oklahoma until 9 o'clock Central, associated with this particular system. And you can see quite a bit of wind and hail damage indicated by the blue dots on your screen. That's not the only thing we're seeing. We're also seeing risk areas. Plus, we'll have the forecast for tomorrow coming up.
Well, severe thunderstorms continue to pummel parts of the plains, and many of these severe storms have spawned tornadoes. In fact, way too many to exactly go into intimate detail here throughout the plains at the time allotted, but we can point out a few things. First of all, in eastern Nebraska, tornadic thunderstorms coming in on the southwest side of Omaha. They're about 50 to 70 miles away, but in western Cass County, those severe storms are now marching through, and we had a tornado in Washington County on farther south across the line into Kansas near Concordia. There it goes. Now, there are the storms going into Cass County. Additional strong storms as you work your way up into north central Nebraska. This air is just incredibly unstable over the plains and all the way down south, which is where we're heading now for our next radar go-round. That's the Oklahoma-Kansas state line. That's Wichita. That's where the Weather Channel's Dennis Smith is reporting from this evening. And again, a reminder, at the bottom and top of the hour, we'll be taking you on into Wichita to give the latest from Dennis. It appears that we have some tremendous thunderstorms southwest of Wichita. They are moving northeast at about 40 miles an hour. Farther south across the line, southwest of Ponca City, Oklahoma, additional severe weather. And keep in mind, tornado watches in effect.
Kansas. Let's go there live and check on Dennis Smith. Dennis, what's happening in Wichita?
Keith, the very latest, we continue to see very strong winds here in the Wichita area. They're gusting to 30, 35 miles an hour, continuing to blow out the due south. We've seen a lot of strong thunderstorms continue to develop too. If you'll notice behind me, a lot of dark and gray. Actually, we're almost 2 hours away from sunset, but they're still filling up the skies with a lot of dark gray as those thunderstorms continue to develop to our south and west. Give you a little reference to what's going on. Just to below me here, you can see the Arkansas Kansas River. Up a little bit from that is Dumont Stadium, where hopefully Wichita and Midland will be playing ball tonight. They have that scheduled at 7:15. As you can see, again, a couple hours before sunset, they already have the lights on. You can see how well they have to be illuminating the field because it's getting so dark here. Give you an update on the radar situation, let you know what's going on there. Very strong cells just to the south and west of the Wichita area. ICT is what we're looking for. That's where we're located at right now. And again, showing you those very strong thunderstorms continuing to build up across Kansas. At the top right-hand portion of your screen, TOP represents Topeka. We're located at ICT. You can see how the dark and threatening skies are visiting our area now. On down across the line there at the bottom of your screen, PNC represents Ponca City, Oklahoma. Even closer, we'll be able to see how those thunderstorms are developing in areas of southwest Kansas in Harper County right now. In fact, they're under a tornado warning at this particular time. And just to the south of ICT is Sumner County, some very heavy cells there. To the west, or just to the left of ICT, is Kingman County. Sedgwick County is the county that Wichita is in. So any of those 4 counties will be affected by some strong and possibly severe thunderstorms within the next 1-hour period. Again, a tornado warning continues for Harper County. Tornado has been indicated 35 miles southwest of Wichita. We'll keep an eye to the sky, keep you updated from our scene here in Wichita, Kansas.
All right, thanks, Dennis. That's Dennis Smith reporting live from Wichita, Kansas. There is a report of a tornado southwest of there. We'll continue to update the situation, not only in Kansas, but elsewhere. Let's give a review and a recap, so to speak, of the severe weather out there this evening. Tornado watch in effect until 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time for parts of Kansas, including Wichita, down toward northern Oklahoma, to the north of here, to the east of here, and to the southeast. More tornado watches in effect until 10 o'clock Central Daylight Time. As we head south into Oklahoma, another tornado.
You see there before you, southwest of ICT, which is Wichita, Kansas. Storm moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. Northeastern Harper County, northwestern Sumner County. Tornado warnings in effect till 5:45 local time. Stay tuned.
I'm Dennis Smith in Wichita, Kansas. I'll be reporting on the buildup of severe weather across the plains tonight, live on the Weather Channel. Are the tornado sirens. We have been indicating, Steve, if you go on around in that general vicinity, it was real difficult for us to pick up. But what we were seeing earlier about 3 or 4 minutes ago was a wall cloud where it goes from the lighter color over to the darker color. We were indicating some heavy rain and the possibility of something at the tail end of that thunderstorm. Without knowing whether it was for real or not, the sirens have been sounded. People at this time in the Wichita area should be seeking shelter. You should be moving to a place of safety. Indoors is your best bet, and if you have a basement, that is your best location. If you don't have a basement, get into an interior hallway or a closet. If you live in a mobile home, leave the mobile home immediately. If you're out driving around and hearing it on radio or listening and hearing the sirens, at that time you should be seeking shelter as well. Again, the possibility of a tornado formation in the area near Wichita, Kansas. What we're showing you on the light coloring in the center of your screen, and just to the right was the possibility of a formation of a tornado several minutes ago. Right now it looks like it's basically rain. It doesn't look like it's threatening as it was a few minutes ago, but we're keeping a close eye on the situation. To be on the safe side, they have sounded the sirens for the Wichita and Sedgwick County area. We'll keep you updated and posted exactly on what's going on as we report live from Wichita, Kansas. Keith?
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, Dennis Smith, live reporting from Wichita, Kansas. Dennis is right next to the hotel, and if it gets even worse, he'll jump in there and be safe from this storm. Let's go ahead and show you what else is happening. Not only in Wichita, we have more tornadoes out there. Tornado watches are in effect until 8 o'clock for these areas in red, including parts of Nebraska down through Kansas. That does include the Wichita area. Severe Storms Forecast Center has also issued tornado watches to the north of here, to the east of here, until 10 o'clock Central Daylight Time. These watches mean tornadoes are a possibility. As we look down to the south, another tornado watch is in effect until 9 o'clock. Weather out there, we will continue to watch it closely here at the Weather Channel. Stay tuned.
25 to 35 miles per hour right now. This entire area indicated in the dark red here, this is where we're expecting the strongest storms, and those storms are definitely producing tornadoes, golf ball size hail, some very hefty winds, and also very damaging conditions, heavy rains throughout the area that you do see in the red. Strong storms also. Dennis Smith. Checking out what's going on right now. A very quiet day throughout the Northeast, really enjoying some mild temperatures there, looking for a pretty good weekend, at least for tomorrow anyway. But we are getting some hefty amounts of rain Some areas of New Orleans reporting as much as 7 inches of rain, that being in the New Orleans area, not necessarily in the city there. Jet stream riding right through here and definitely giving us some boost to the already moist air that they have there. So a lot of weather elements combining there, making for some hefty amounts of rain and also some thunderstorms too. This is where we're really seeing the thunderstorm activity though this evening, with the storms popping all the way from Nebraska back down into Oklahoma. Tornado watches and warnings issued for this entire area. So please keep advised and stay with us on the Weather Channel.
Set up, we've got colder, drier air moving in out of the Rockies and a lot of warm temperatures out ahead of the front, and severe weather has been popping. Let's zoom in a little bit closer and show you some nasty storms as we start out first in Nebraska, just outside of Lincoln. A severe thunderstorm popping right there, and a line of stronger storms just outside of Topeka on down towards Wichita. Omaha, tornado warning in effect. Also, in and around Wichita, Kansas, a tornado warning is in effect. Take shelter immediately. Take cover immediately. If you live in these areas, the sirens are going and the severe thunderstorms are upon you. You can see that showers and thunder showers that extend as far south as Ponca City in Oklahoma. We also have some scattered showers and thunder showers from parts of Arkansas and into Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida.
Western Missouri, Kansas, and into Oklahoma. One area we want to go to right now is Wichita, Kansas, where Dennis Smith is reporting live. Dennis, what's the story there in Wichita?
Thank you, Keith. It looks like conditions have changed dramatically over about the last 15 or 20 minutes. Right now, as we look around, we are experiencing rain. It's coming down, losing visibility a little bit. Most of it coming in from the due south. The winds have died down a little bit, but it looks like the rains are starting to move on in and still kicking around a pretty horizontal direction. Some birds are trying to fly into this wind, and we're seeing some lightning, something we haven't seen a whole lot of this afternoon. And as you can hear, the rumble of occasional thunder. It got a little bit more exciting just a few minutes ago. In fact, at about a quarter before the top of the hour, we were looking out towards the west and noticing that some suspicion in some of the rain towards the, as you look at the screen right now, a little bit towards left of center. What you're seeing is a rain shaft from the center point and to the right, but just as you see a lowering of the clouds a little bit to the left of where the rain was coming down, we could see it better here live, a little bit of rotation and also a little bit of debris occurring on the ground. So as it turned out, there was a tornado reported on the ground near Goddard, Kansas in Sedgwick County. The sirens were sounded, and we kept you updated on that particular situation. The good news to report on that, from our vantage point, it didn't look like it was on the ground very long and got kind of wrapped up into the rain shaft, so it didn't last all that long. That was good news. Hopefully we won't be able to pass along any information of any problems with that particular tornado as it touched down in Sedgwick County. Give you a radar update on what's going on. It continues to show some very strong thunderstorms. The cell just north of ICT represented the one that contained the tornado or possible tornado earlier, about 15 minutes ago, and now we're starting to go through that dark green, yellow, and red shaded area approaching us from the south. We're getting frequent lightning and some rumbles of thunder, and the rain starting to come down. So people that live in south central Kansas, be prepared to move to a place of safety if a warning is issued, as wasn't the case earlier in the last 15 or 20 minutes of the possibility of a tornado touching down in Sedgwick County. We'll keep you informed, keep you updated all throughout the entire United States, and especially here live in Wichita, Kansas. Keith?
All right, thanks, Dennis. That's Dennis Smith reporting live from Wichita, Kansas. Now, Wichita is just one area that is seeing severe weather this evening. As we look at the monitor, we see there are tornado watches that are in effect as we head into parts of Nebraska and into Kansas until 8 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Severe Storms Forecast Center has issued these tornado watches, and they also said this is a particularly dangerous situation, and we have seen a number of reports of tornadoes. To the east of here, a couple of more tornado watches, actually 3 from South Dakota down through Iowa into the Kansas City area, southeast into southeast Wichita until 10 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Another tornado watch in effect down through parts of Oklahoma until 9 o'clock Central Daylight Time. And as we head north into South Dakota, there's also a tornado watch in effect. This one, a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until...
All the conditions are favorable for severe weather and tornadic activity, and that's exactly what's happening. Now on the back edge, with all the cold air aloft, we have some snow occurring, and it could be a heavy snow event before it's all over with. Scattered showers and thunder showers all right outside of Omaha, around Lincoln, Nebraska, right outside of Topeka, on down towards Wichita, Kansas. Tornado warnings have been issued and are in effect. You can see that line of severe thunderstorms extending as far south as Ponca City in Oklahoma, with Large damaging hail being reported in many of these cells. All right, let's go back to the maps and show you where we think the severe weather will be occurring tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Keith. Over the last couple of minutes, we've heard the siren sound again, this time for eastern areas of Sedgwick County, primarily southeastern sections of the county near Wichita area. We've had reports over the last 1/2 hour to 40 minutes of 2 separate occasions of the sirens going off for 2 separate sightings of tornadoes. We had the situation of actually seeing one ourselves on the west side of town near the vicinity of Goddard, Kansas. It's a suburb of Wichita. I had an opportunity to speak to the Civil Defense, Civil Preparedness group in the Wichita area. They indicated to me that there was some minor structural damage near Goddard, but the good news was there was no injuries. We've also, here's the scene that we indicated about the time that was coming through. In the middle of the screen is the rain, and to the right is the rain that was coming down, while in the middle of the screen was kind of hard to see, but a lowering of the main thunderstorm base, and beneath it we saw a little bit of debris forming very close to the ground, which we believed was the indication to us that there was a tornado in that general vicinity, which would be the most natural place for it to form, the southwest side of the cloud on the back side, and that was where we saw that formation. And again, over the last couple of minutes, Keith, we've had the siren sound again, this time for a possible sighting of a tornado south of this immediate area, moving into eastern Sedgwick County. What we've experienced over the last 10 minutes is a pretty good rain shower, even some pea-sized hail that was melting pretty fast. The winds have pretty well come down. Even as you can look over my shoulder, it's starting to get a little bit bright here with the sun coming out as the thunderstorms are now moving east of the Wichita area. Keith?
All right, thanks, Dennis. That's Dennis Smith reporting live from Wichita, Kansas, where we've seen numerous reports of tornadoes. A brand new tornado warning has just come in to us here at the Weather Channel. Eastern Harvey County, that's just north of Wichita, Kansas. We also still have a number of tornado watches in effect. This one until midnight Central Daylight Time, all the way from eastern South Dakota down toward the Sioux City area until midnight Central Daylight Time. To the south of here, a number of tornado watches, including South Dakota, down the Missouri River, all the way into Kansas City.
All right, let's zoom in a little bit closer on Nebraska and Kansas, show you where the severe weather is occurring from just outside of Omaha, Nebraska, on towards Lincoln and Concordia. And as we head even farther to the south, you can see the big storms bearing down on Topeka and Emporia and even around Norfolk, Nebraska. Follow that line of severe weather into Wichita and Ponca City. We've had reports of large damaging hail, gusty winds, and heavy downpours with the rain, not to mention tornadic activity. We can't emphasize this enough. This situation is very, very dangerous. We've even got severe thunderstorms as we head on farther to the east, just outside of Little Rock, Arkansas. You can see a severe thunderstorm bearing down there with some very gusty winds too.
It's for Sedgwick County, which is the county that Wichita is in. The first one reported about a quarter before the top of the hour, one that we had an opportunity to witness, which we'll show you our video in just a couple of minutes, illustrated a tornado touchdown near Goddard, Kansas. That's west of Wichita. I've had a conversation with the Civil Defense in the Sedgwick County area. They've indicated to me some minor structural damage, but the good news is no injuries from that particular tornado touchdown. Within the last 10 minutes, we've had another tornado warning, this one for the eastern half of Sedgwick County. It originated around the Derby, Mulvane, and Hayesville area, and within the last couple of minutes, we've had a report of a tornado on the ground near McConnell Air Force Base. That's on the southeast side of town, also near the area of the Boeing plants as well as the Cessna plants. We'll keep you updated on that. That particular cell will be moving on off towards the northeast about 35 miles an hour. It will be moving in towards Butler County around the El Dorado area within the next 1 hour period. The conditions here in Wichita have changed dramatically. As we look at our radar screen, we'll be able to show you those heavy cells that continue to move out of south central Kansas and advance on off towards the northeast. The heaviest right now moving through southeastern Sedgwick County, just southeast or just to the lower right-hand portion of the screen of the ICT. As far as what we've seen here over the last half hour, as we look at the video of what we shot earlier here from the Wichita area, our vantage point from downtown Wichita, illustrating the rain in the middle of your screen to the right-hand portion of your screen, just about in the middle of the screen. You can see a little bit of lowering or dark cloud lowering from the base of the thunderstorm, and we were able to, from our vantage point, not so easy to pick up on the camera, was a little bit of debris coming up from the bottom of, or very close to the ground as a result of tornado touchdown, and that was occurring near Goddard, Kansas. What you see behind me now is behind the thunderstorms. The blue skies have returned, a few puffy white clouds. The rains have come, the pea-sized hail has come, and now we're seeing some sunshine, even a rainbow to our east. But those fine folks and Weather Channel viewers still to the east of Wichita, be prepared to move to a place of safety as threatening conditions still exist. Keith?
All right, thanks, Dennis. That's Dennis Smith reporting live from Wichita, Kansas. In Butler County, Kansas now, a damaging tornado reported on the ground in southeast Wichita. It's heading toward the northeast. If you live in that area, take cover. Also, we have a report of a brand new tornado watch that has been issued for parts of North Texas. We will update you on that. We'll also go ahead and show you numerous radars out of the whole Plain States coming up right here on the Weather Channel. First, though, let's check on your local forecast. Continue to watch tornadoes tear through parts of Nebraska down through Kansas, Oklahoma, and a brand new tornado watch has just been issued for parts of Texas. One area, Omaha, for example, they've seen a lot of hail and even some tornadoes to the southwest of town. We still, this evening, feel there's a high risk of severe thunderstorms in the area here in the reddest of red, right through southeast Nebraska, southwest Iowa, down through western Missouri, eastern Kansas, and northern Oklahoma. High risk means that severe thunderstorms definitely a possibility, and from those severe thunderstorms, damaging tornadoes that could possibly destroy numerous homes. We've had some reports of that as well through numerous towns in Kansas and farther on toward the north. Now, let's kind of give you an overview of what's happening out there this evening. Right now, a tornado watch is in effect for this area of red until midnight Central Daylight Time. That includes Sioux City all the way up toward the border with North Dakota. To the south and east, 3 tornado watches in effect. Parts of South Dakota, down through the Missouri Valley, including Kansas City. That does include Omaha, where there are some severe thunderstorms this evening. These tornado watches are in effect until 10 o'clock Central Daylight Time. And as we head to the south and west, we have a tornado watch or 2 until 8 o'clock Central Daylight Time, issued by the Severe Storms Forecast Center. These continue here for another couple of hours. Down to the south, another tornado watch in effect for parts of Oklahoma until 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and another tornado watch in effect until 1 o'clock for parts of northeast Texas. We've had numerous reports of some tornadoes. Brand new tornado warning coming in. Can you hand me that, Mike? Thank you. Tornado warning in effect in northeast Oklahoma for northern Noble County. As we see those severe thunderstorms roaming through the area, we have another severe thunderstorm watch in effect for parts of the Mississippi Valley. One area extremely hard hit this evening, Wichita. Let's go live and see what's happening there. Dennis.
Thank you so much, Keith. Within the last couple of minutes, I've been in contact with the Civil Defense of Sedgwick County. That's the county of Wichita. An updated report on the situation in Goddard was some structural damage. Goddard was the tornado that was spotted about almost an hour ago now, west of town. Also, a recent tornado in the last 20 minutes moving through from southern areas of Sedgwick County to eastern areas of Sedgwick County, south and east of Wichita. Some minor injuries around Hayesville, and McConnell Air Force Base reported the tornado went right through the Air Force Base. And so that's the status coming in out of Sedgwick County right now. Our position here at downtown at Wichita and looking towards our west is sunshine now, and the clouds have pretty well left the scene, but they're moving on off towards the north and east. We'll keep you updated and informed, especially those fine Weather Channel viewers that live to the east of Wichita right now. Be prepared to move to a place of safety, as some severe thunderstorms that possibly could contain tornadoes still continue to rumble on off towards the northeast. From Wichita, we'll keep you updated. Keith?
Dennis, I have a question for you. KSNW, a TV station there out of Wichita, reports heavy damage on the south side of the town. Have you heard anything about what's going on down there?
In my report from the Civil Defense, I asked them that question. They said the only thing they had was some minor injuries in Hayesville. That is south of Wichita. However, we have not got a complete update from McConnell. That's where they may have gotten some of their information, is around the McConnell Air Force Base. That's on the southeast side of Wichita.
All right, thanks, Dennis Smith. That's Dennis Smith reporting live from Wichita, Kansas. Want to remind you folks, east of Wichita, Butler County still under a tornado warning until 7:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Tornado, a damaging tornado on the ground, as we talked about, southeast Wichita, heading on toward the northeast rapidly this evening. Just one area, Wichita, hard hit. We'll continue to update you on the situation in the Plain States. Right now, though, we'll check on your local forecast.
You can see them popping up all over the place now. We have severe thunderstorms to the north of Norfolk, Nebraska, headed on up to Yankton, South Dakota, also to the south of Lincoln, moving to the north-northeast at about 35 miles an hour, moving in on Omaha, Nebraska at this very moment. Also more very heavy thunderstorms just skirting the western edges of Topeka, Kansas, primarily out of the metro area, but moving on up very close to St. Joseph in Missouri, moving to the northeast at 30 miles an hour. So this is a very severe weather situation. We've had reports of numerous tornadoes with some of these thunderstorms, especially around the Wichita, Kansas area. If you're in the Plain States tonight, you need to move to an interior hallway or in a basement, take cover if you're in the path of these thunderstorms.
Radars.
We're not only seeing the very active weather through the central portion of the country, but also Across the Gulf Coast region, we're really getting pelted with some heavy amounts of rain. In some parts of Louisiana, they received as much as 7 inches of rain. A lot of moist air streaming in here. But let's take a look at some of these areas throughout parts of the middle section of our country, looking at the thunder showers popping all the way up from Omaha and spreading up into Oklahoma, rather, and spreading up into Kansas right now. And these are definitely spawning tornadoes, very gusty winds, all moving up to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. Golf ball-sized hail reported with these thunderstorms as well. And they continue all the way up into parts of Nebraska, too. You can see the yellow, red, the flashing lights here tell us exactly where the thunderstorm is, moving up to the northeast and also into Tennessee and Arkansas.
I understand there's some damage from a tornado on the south side of the city there, Dennis.
Certainly has been, Keith. We've had some reports here of some damage around the McConnell Air Force Base. That's on the southeast side of Wichita. Also some minor injuries around the Hayesville area. That's south of Wichita and Sedgwick County. And we had the opportunity of witnessing a tornado on the ground west of town around the Goddard vicinity. We'll bring you up to date on the radar situation, show you what's going on all across the Sunflower State. We'll start up in the area around Topeka. That's illustrating some of the very heavy thunderstorms that line up approaching St. Joseph around Hiawatha, passing west of Topeka. That's TOP on the screen, all the way down into around Marion and Chase counties, northwest of EMP Emporia. These cells continue to move on off towards the northeast and have the potential of putting out damaging wind, hail, heavy rainfall, and even the possibility of some tornadoes. In south central Kansas, the case has been some very heavy thunderstorms moving in and around the Wichita vicinity. That's ICT, pretty much in the center of your screen. That heavy cell, that yellow shaded area, north and east, or just to the upper right of the T in Wichita, is continuing to move on off into Butler County around El Dorado. Unofficially, that put down a tornado in around the McConnell Air Force Base area, and supposedly had done some damage. We'll continue to monitor that scene through the civil defense and continue to update you. But as you can see, there's also some very heavy thunderstorms near PNC around the Ponca City area. These will all be moving on off towards the northeast about 35 miles an hour, so residents east of the Wichita area and eastern Kansas should be on the outlook. Accordingly, watches are out. Warnings are issued when a tornado has been indicated by radar or sighted, and it's up to you to move to a place of safety, a basement if you have one. If not a basement, a place of safety inside your home, like an interior hallway or a closet. Our conditions right now in downtown Wichita are improving. The sun is out. The thunderstorms are moved off to the east, but that still means residents east of Wichita, be on your guard and continue to monitor the Weather Channel. Keith?
All right, thanks so much. Dennis Smith reporting live from Wichita, Kansas, where we've seen some damage on the south side of town especially. We'll be checking in with Dennis before too long, and we just want to pass along that there is a high potential for more tornadoes, and numerous tornado warnings that are out there from eastern Nebraska into western and northwestern Missouri, and farther on toward the south. A tornado right now out of Oklahoma City reported on the ground 2 miles south of Highway 15 and 2 miles east of Highway 77 in northern Noble County. That's about 9 miles northeast of Perry. These thunderstorms producing tornadoes are pushing rapidly toward the northeast. Stay with us here at the Weather Channel. Right now, we'll check on that forecast through tonight and on into the weekend.
Over the Rocky Mountains, there's been a couple of feet of snow out in this area as things begin to quiet down a little bit on the west coast. Cold air, somewhat dry air, bumping right into some very moist, very warm and humid air coming up at low levels from the Gulf of Mexico. Some of that cold air at upper levels. That's the formula for severe weather. As we get later on in the sequence, you could see a sharp line from about, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, down on toward Oklahoma City, clear to the west, very heavily overcast to the right. That is our line of severe thunderstorms right now. Also some big ones popping in parts of Arkansas and even down into East Texas toward Louisiana. The Gulf Coast still rather active, second day in a row, and some lighter rains moving on to the north and in some of the Piedmont. Let's check our current weather map right now and notice, and on into Oklahoma. Our national radar showing heavy storms in that area and some pretty locally heavy rain also in the south. Let's go to a local radar now, or a regional radar in motion, showing the thunderstorms as far north as North Dakota. Heavy activity near Omaha, just north of Wichita, near Topeka. There have been tornadoes there and pretty heavy stuff down in the vicinity of northern Arkansas. A line of extremely strong thunderstorms west of St. Joe, Missouri, toward Topeka, Emporia, and Ponca City. We'll go a little further north, and you'll notice that also right through the Omaha area, very strong thunderstorms, and that on into Iowa. We have a high-risk area, or an area that we're watching out for a high risk of thunderstorms in Texas. That is in Cherokee County, and a severe thunderstorm warning in Gregg County, Texas right now for very large hail, possible tornado with that storm moving toward Louisiana. Stay with us.
for too much longer. Big story today, really in the central part of the country and down in the southeast, where we have some hefty thunderstorms kicking up all the way from Nebraska back down into Kansas and Oklahoma. Seeing tornadoes, golf ball size hail, some very high winds too. We're talking winds behind this front of up to 70 to 80 miles per hour. Once again, some heavy rain across the Gulf coastal region too. The jet stream coming across. All the elements are there for heavy rains here. But first, Mike's going to show us some of those thunderstorms with radars.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. Pretty quiet in the west except for some rain near the Portland radar site. The color going just about up to North Dakota. These are thunder showers down through Oklahoma, very strong ones at that. More action east and further on toward the northeast. We can take a look at it in motion, noticing that all this action is moving toward the north, big low pressure out to the west, and a lot of the very severe weather, if you see anything near you, note that they're moving toward the north-northeast in Nebraska, Iowa, and Kansas, and even northwest Missouri. Tornado near that reservoir in Kansas, just about this area, east of Wichita. Another one near the Oklahoma line, near Stillwater, Oklahoma, still another tornado. We can go a little bit further north and show you the action in Nebraska, also moving into western Iowa. Some of this is severe weather.
We have a number of strong to severe thunderstorms all the way from South Dakota down into the Missouri Valley and down into parts of Kansas, now heading into Iowa and northwest Missouri. Numerous warnings for severe weather and also tornadoes in these same areas as these thunderstorms push rapidly on toward the north-northeast. And with a radar that looks like this, of course, we're going to have a number of watches out there. Tornado watch issued by the Severe Storms Forecast Center until midnight Central Daylight Time, including Sioux City. Good possibility down into parts of Oklahoma until 1 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Another tornado watch farther on toward the south until 1 a.m. Central Daylight Time. And actually, as we head on toward the east, we have a severe thunderstorm watch where we've seen some reports of golf ball-sized hail around the city of Little Rock. I'll show you a radar. The strong thunderstorms through Kansas, some of these in northeast Oklahoma, tornadoes reported with them. Also, a couple of tornadoes reported in northeast Texas with these thunderstorms as they push rapidly on toward the northeast. And all the color here indicating the biggest thunderstorms and even some blowing up here in southeast Texas. So out there this evening, we have a very, very active night. As we mentioned, Dennis Smith in Wichita, Kansas, checking on some damage there. But that's not the only story. Tornadoes continue through the Plain States. We will continue to update the situation here at the Weather Channel. Right now, we want to throw it to the studio and see what the latest...
Nebraska and Kansas, right through there. That's where we're seeing the very severe weather this evening, and also some hefty amounts of rain throughout parts of New Orleans and in and around the southern sections of Louisiana. That also spreading back further to the east and also encompassing parts of Arkansas too, where we're seeing some thunder showers and thunderstorms pop up in that vicinity too, and you can see the activity here. But of course, where we do have most of the rain, most of the thunderstorms occurring right now happens to be right along this area from Nebraska down into Oklahoma. As a matter of fact, we do have a very recent tornado warning, and a very large tornado reported on the ground near Cambridge. That's 20 miles northeast of our Kansas City, Kansas, affecting eastern Cowley County and Elk County. Both of those areas were under a tornado warning. Checking now, we see there's definitely been some damage associated with these storms as they've worked their way through. The blue dots indicating hail and wind damage, and then the red triangles here show us numerous tornadoes associated with the system as it works its way to the east. Here it is.
By tornadoes, they'll show you what it looks like in the aftermath. Now a satellite in motion. We'll go back a few hours on that action satellite and show you the development. A big ball of clouds once again, eastern Kansas on into Missouri and on up into Iowa. Then all of a sudden the dry air hit us from the west and a sharp line developed. We've had tornadoes reported in a lot of eastern Nebraska, eastern, east central Kansas, about a half a dozen within 20 or 30 miles of Wichita, on toward Oklahoma, near Stillwater. Strong storms, now a damaging tornado on the ground even now in Gregg County, Texas, moving on toward the Louisiana area, and some very strong thunderstorms.
Oh, my goodness. From as you head on down through Emporia, Kansas, on up towards St. Joseph, Missouri, also from Omaha, Nebraska, on towards the northeast, picking up some very strong to severe thunderstorms. At least half a dozen tornadoes have been on the ground at one time or another around Wichita, Kansas. Watches and warnings are out for most of this area right now, all the way until 2 a.m. local time, so please stay in touch with the Weather Channel. We will give give you the latest details on these storms. They are sweeping off to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. Good news in Wichita, the thunderstorms are losing a little bit of their strength. But as you head on over towards Longview, Texas, picking up some strong thunderstorms there, also to the south and west of Jackson, Mississippi. So as you can see, a very...
in effect until 10 o'clock local time. Yet another one for Oklahoma until 1 in the morning. This one includes Longview, a tornado warning in effect right now. Baseball-sized hail is being reported there. This severe thunderstorm watch is in effect until midnight Central Daylight Time. Let's go to the radars now. And as we show you, the showers and thunder showers that extend across the southeast are not half as severe or strong as the ones right here in the midsection of the country. Let's zoom in a little closer, give you an idea of the line of strong storms bearing down on Omaha, Nebraska, also just outside of St. Joseph, as well as Topeka, Kansas. A number of tornadoes have already been reported, as we have alluded to. Now, just outside of Ponca City in Oklahoma, a tornado warning in effect for this particular cell. Take cover immediately if you live in that area. Just to the south, around Longview, as we were already telling you, severe thunderstorm in effect, I should say a tornado warning in effect there. And outside of Little Rock, Arkansas, you can see the showers and thunder showers moving on into Mississippi, and parts of Alabama, Georgia, and Florida getting drenched with some rain. Some of that rain is Texas and as far north as parts of Nebraska, and we're even getting severe thunderstorms as far north as South Dakota. On the back edge of this low pressure system, we have a lot of on the ground and causing damage. So we head farther south into Oklahoma again until 1 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Now, until 2 a.m. Central Daylight Time, this severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. That does include Kansas City, and this tornado watch includes Longview, Texas, where baseball-sized hail is being reported right now. This severe thunderstorm watch in effect until midnight local time. All right, let's show you some radars. Show you national radar first of all, so you can get an idea where the severe weather is popping. Scattered showers and thunder showers, yes, you've got it across the southeast, but these storms are not as intense or severe as the ones in the Central Plain states. First of all, we'll take you to Iowa. Around Denison, Iowa, reports of a couple of tornadoes on the ground causing damage. Please take cover in that area. Across the border into parts of Missouri, same sort of scenario. More severe thunderstorms, at least possibly even tornadic at times. Line of strong storms right on down through St. Joseph, Topeka, Kansas, outside of Concordia. You can see a heavy thunderstorm. And just outside of Ponca City in Oklahoma, severe thunderstorms racing off towards the north and the east at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. Let's take you into Texas, into Longview, Texas, where a tornado warning was in effect, and the large damaging hail was reported. Back to the maps, and we'll show you where this is.
Of the United States. Very bright white clouds over the southeastern U.S. They were hit pretty hard last night from Louisiana all the way to the state of Florida. Tonight it's from Texas. Around Longview, Texas, golf ball sized hail was reported. There have been some severe thunderstorm warnings issued for that part of Texas. Then we have more severe storms that are popping up over eastern Kansas all the way into the adjacent section of Missouri, Denison, Iowa. Twin tornadoes on the ground there about 50 minutes ago. We have also had reports of tornadoes in Nebraska as well. So as you can see, this is a very, very active night weather-wise, and we will certainly do our best to keep you up to date on all the latest information. We have a very large trough of low pressure that continues to build in the western United States, and impulses of energy sweep around and help to fuel those.
Right about here from the northern plains into the central plains, and we will start out with Iowa, show you the heavy thunderstorms that are breaking out. Now, just outside, well, let's say around Sac County, if you live in that area, please take cover immediately. Tornadoes have been reported outside of Denison, now headed towards Sac County. This particular cell is tornadic, and so we are advising you to take cover immediately. Head on down to the south, and we'll show you a line of stronger storms ripping through parts of Iowa and Missouri. St. Joseph, Topeka, Concordia, Salina, and even Emporia have seen severe thunderstorms throughout the evening, and now we're watching a heavy thunderstorm bear down just outside of Ponca City in Oklahoma.
It's in western Iowa. We still expect the potential for more strong to severe thunderstorms. Let's show thunderstorms heading on toward the northeast. As we mentioned, some of these have been containing tornadoes. Hail, a good possibility too, large and damaging hail as they head toward the northeast. And then as we look farther on toward the south, there are also some strong thunderstorms in parts of Oklahoma and into Texas. Let's review the watches we have out there this evening, and there are a whole lot of them. Okay, starting up to the north, we have good news. This tornado watch has been canceled by the Severe Storms Forecast Center, so no longer the threat for severe weather, tornadoes that is, in central South Dakota, but still that threat farther on toward the east until midnight Central Daylight Time. Tornado watch in effect down to Sioux City. And as we mentioned, in Sac County right there is a tornado warning out right now. In the south, large tornado watch covering parts of Nebraska, Iowa, western Missouri, into eastern parts of Kansas until 2 o'clock. That's 2 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Tornado watch means conditions are favorable for more tornadoes to develop in these strong thunderstorms until 1 o'clock Central Daylight Time. This tornado watch is currently in effect through parts of northeast Oklahoma. To the south of there, a large tornado watch covering much of southeastern Oklahoma, the eastern two-thirds of Texas, including Dallas, all the way down toward the Beaumont-Port Arthur area until 3 a.m. Central Daylight Time. And a couple of severe thunderstorm watches. Yes, it is very busy out there. This tornado or severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 2 o'clock for parts of Missouri, and then one farther on toward the south until, actually this one has been canceled. It was in effect until midnight. Now there has been some damage from tornadoes in eastern Texas. We have a live truck on the scene. We will be going live there into eastern Texas coming up hopefully in the next hour. And also a report of a tornado, several of them actually earlier around Wichita, Kansas. We will be going live to Dennis Smith coming up in the next hour out of McConnell Air Force Base. So a lot of action out there this evening. We will continue to update you right here at the Weather Channel. First, though, let's throw it into the studio. You can see intense thunderstorms from St. Joseph, Missouri, all the way back down toward Ponca City, now moving east. Notice this right around ICT, that's Wichita, Kansas. Thunderstorm moved through, caused some damage with a tornado, but look at this. Right behind that, another strong thunderstorm developing. There is now a tornado warning out for Sedgwick County. Another report of a tornado. Another tornado was near Severy. They're all moving on toward the northeast. We want to go live to Wichita and see the damage that the first tornado did and see what's happening right there. Dennis, what's the story?
Thank you, Keith. We're at a location now in eastern Sedgwick County, southeast of McConnell Air Force Base. That's southeast of ICT if you've been looking on the radar. You can probably hear the sirens still blaring behind me. That's for McConnell Air Force Base area. A lot of B-1 bombers that are stationed in this immediate area. There's already been some damage from some of the tornadoes that came through earlier this evening. In fact, reported the base hospital was received some damage, as well as the school church. There's been numerous injuries. We've been involved with seeing many of the emergency vehicles in the immediate area, and they've really got it cordoned off so not too many people get in and interrupt. What they're trying to do is get everybody taken care of and assess the situation. We're still seeing lots of thunderstorms still rumbling in this immediate area, lots of frequent lightning, and has just been indicated around Sedgwick County another tornado warning. There go the sirens again. If need be, we will seek immediate shelter here as well. Right now we're not in an immediate area of threat in our position, but Sedgwick County and points east, moving through Cowley County and Butler County from Wichita through El Dorado. Be on your guard and be prepared to move to a place of safety. We'll keep you updated and informed as we're reporting southeast of Wichita near McConnell Air Force Base in Kansas.
All right, thanks, Dennis. That's Dennis Smith reporting live from Wichita, Kansas. Let's go ahead and show you a radar, the most recent radar we have here at the Weather Channel. Here's ICT. This is Wichita. Actually, that's the airport there west of town. The city extends down like this, and you can see these strong thunderstorms. Report of a tornado on the ground in South Wichita at 55th Street South and Hydraulic. That's moving toward the northeast at 35 miles per hour. This is the second time in about 4 hours this same area has been hit by a tornado, pushing rapidly on toward the northeast. Also a tornado warning out for Sedgwick County and also Butler County. Severe weather continues in the Plains states, and not only through Kansas, but into Oklahoma and up through Nebraska and western parts of the state of Iowa. Lots of weather out there, tornadoes on the ground. We have Dennis Smith, as we showed you, out of Wichita. We'll see what damage this new tornado causes, in addition to update you on that earlier tornado damage in McConnell Air Force Base. So that's the story there out of Kansas and down through Wichita. Here's a look at the radar, not only through southern parts of Kansas, but also as we head northward. These thunderstorms continue to push rapidly up toward the Topeka area. We've had reports of tornadoes earlier in the evening just west of there, moving on toward the northeast. Big thunderstorms now heading toward the Kansas City area and mainly up to St. Joseph on up to the north. Out of radar range, report of a tornado on the ground in Sac County, Iowa, where there's a tornado warning in effect. And also as we head down into Osage County in Oklahoma, there is a tornado warning out for a couple of these cells as they push on toward the northeast. We do have reports of tornadoes on the ground, confirmed by spotters, as they push on toward the northeast. So if you live in the path of these thunderstorms, again, tornadoes seem to be developing even as we speak. Head to safety, and as you heard out of Wichita, the sirens are sounding. You know what that means. Head to safety. A lot more coming up here on the Weather Channel. Severe weather out there? Yes, we have it, and we will continue to update you after this. We're going to go live to Dennis Smith and see what the latest is there in Wichita. He's standing by in McConnell Air Force Base, hit earlier by a tornado. Dennis, the tornado is just to your southwest. What's happening there?
It looks like it continues to be quite furious with severe thunderstorms and tornadoes in this immediate area. We've been monitoring the scene over the last 20 minutes or so. We've had the sirens go off. We're very close to the McConnell Air Force Base. By the way, that's on the southeast side of Wichita, still in Sedgwick County. You can still hear the sirens blaring in behind us right now as these thunderstorms continue to pull on off towards the northeast. It's right after sunset, so it's very interesting cloud development and the possibility of tornadoes. I know a lot of people are really worried after having that tornado touch down about an hour ago, actually, and a lot of people concerned on what's going on. That's why the tornado sirens are sounding right now for the possibility of a tornado with this particular thunderstorm. If we look back up in the sky, we can still see frequent lightning still popping out of these cells, and they're really popping along, and these tops of these cells are up to about 50,000 feet. Now, residents in Sedgwick County, the county we're in right now, as well as Butler and Cowley to our east, should be on the guard and be prepared to move to a place of safety. That means if you have a basement, that's the best place. If you don't have a home with a basement, interior hallway or closet is the best. And if you live in a mobile home, evacuate that. We've seen a lot of damage and heard of a lot of damage in areas of around McConnell Air Force Base, especially on base in the housing area, as far as the base hospital, and numerous injuries have been reported to us as well. So we'll pass along the information as it becomes available, and we'll keep you updated as we report near McConnell Air Force Base southeast of Wichita. Keith?
That's Dennis Smith reporting live from Wichita, Kansas. As we mentioned, a lot of severe weather, not only in parts of Kansas, but all the way from Texas northward into the Plains states. Coming up, we hope to go live into parts of northeast Texas, where we've had reports of a couple of tornado touchdowns earlier in the evening. Stay tuned.
Tornado was on the ground. We have no details whether it caused damage or injuries to anyone, but a tornado was spawned from that particular thunderstorm cell, and there are more of those around Topeka on up towards St. Joseph, Missouri, and then as you head on into central Iowa. You really need to stay in touch with the Weather Channel. We'll keep you posted. As far as the severe weather is
occurring, so please, if you have not taken, this is the really intense thunder shower and thunderstorm activity, so let's zoom in for you right now. Starting out in Iowa, in Denison as well as Sac County, reports of tornadoes on the ground causing damage. That's just outside of Des Moines, Iowa. These storms have had a history of producing large damaging hail, gusty winds, and even tornadoes. Also, back to the west, you can see the big thunderstorms. And those showers and thunder showers extend through parts of Missouri. You can see a line of strong storms bearing on down on south towards Kansas City. Omaha, Nebraska has been hit, so has St. Joseph and Topeka, Kansas. Emporia has been hit earlier in the evening. A number of tornadoes ripping through Wichita. Now another line of strong thunderstorms bearing down there. Just outside of Tulsa, an intense thunderstorm. Longview, Texas has been hit with baseball-sized hail and more thunder showers on the way.
On the way as severe weather pounds much of the Midwest. Now with a picture of some of that on radar, here's Lisa.
Thank you so much. Taking you right now into Oklahoma and up into Kansas. You can see the flashing lights here around Tulsa, indicating some thunderstorms stretching all the way up to Chanute right now, just south of that area. Also around the Wichita area, ICT, that's the Wichita area, have a live crew there. We'll be getting an update from that region in just a few moments. They have had numerous tornadoes touch down there this evening, one around McConnell Air Force Base as well. And you can see that line of thunderstorms just continues right on up into parts of Kansas, moving up to the northeast, northeast at around 35 miles per hour. And the tornado and thunderstorm activity continues into parts of Nebraska, now moving into Ohio, or Iowa rather, moving up.
A statement handed to me here. National Weather Service in Topeka is watching transformers blowing up to the northeast of Billiard Airport. It appears at 8:57 p.m., just a couple of minutes ago, that about 3 miles northeast of downtown there is a tornado on the ground. If you live in that area, take cover immediately. Also to the southwest of there, we have a radar that will show us some strong thunderstorms and potentially severe weather pushing down toward Wichita. ICT, that's Wichita, Kansas. Over to CU, or CNU, is Chanute, and down here is Ponca City, Oklahoma. Here's the Oklahoma-Kansas border. Sedgwick County, a tornado warning continues in effect for your area until 9:30. Over to Butler County, some strong thunderstorms, even down into Cowley County. And over here in Greenwood County, there's a tornado warning out for this cell. Tornado should be located on the southwest tip of this as they all push on rapidly on toward the northeast. Severe thunderstorms. As a matter of fact, this line here has developed in the last couple of hours, or actually in the last few minutes. earlier this evening, just about an hour and a half, we'll say at 6:30 local time, we saw this cell. Again, here's Wichita, Kansas. This was at 6:30 p.m. local time. Had this cell moving to the northeast. Now, on the southwest tip of that, that's where a tornado was touching down. It did cause some damage around the McConnell Air Force Base. Reports of heavy damage in the southern part of the city of Wichita. That was 6:30, and now we have some more strong thunderstorms moving to the east and northeast of the city. Down to the south, you saw some other activity. So it's really busy out there. We have a high risk of that severe weather continuing this evening. As a matter of fact, that high risk indicates that these thunderstorms are likely to produce more tornadoes from southwest Iowa down through western Missouri, eastern Kansas, and northern Oklahoma, as well as southeast Nebraska. All these thunderstorms are pushing rapidly on toward the northeast. Here's the radar in motion. You can see what is going on. Let me grab a tornado warning here and see what this says. But as we look at these cells, they're pushing rapidly. Here's what happened in Wichita. Oh, that's actually Dennis Smith. But here's what's happening in Wichita. Earlier, the cells moved northeast, and here's that next line that rapidly developed. I want to remind you, in southeast Kansas now, in northern Wilson and Woodson County, there is a tornado warning out. And these cells are pushing on toward the northeast rapidly. Another tornado warning out for these cells down in northeast parts of Oklahoma. Reports now of one confirmed dead, one confirmed fatality there in Sedgwick County. This tornado watch has been canceled. We'll go to the other watches this evening. Tornado watch in effect for this area until midnight Central Daylight Time, including Sioux City, Iowa, on to the north. Down to the south, we have more tornado watches. The tornado watch means conditions are favorable for tornadoes to develop, and in this case tonight, they are. Until 2 a.m. Central Daylight Time, the areas in red, that's where tornado watches are in effect from southern Minnesota down through central Iowa and into eastern Kansas. That does include the Wichita area, Kansas City, on up toward Des Moines, Omaha. You're also included in this area. Farther on toward the south until 1 a.m. Central Daylight Time, another tornado watch is in effect until 1 a.m. again for this area. We talked about the tornadoes on the ground in northeast Oklahoma around Osage County. And as we head farther on toward the south, a large part of southern Oklahoma into eastern Texas until 3 o'clock, a tornado watch is in effect. Have a live truck heading into eastern Texas. We hope to come live out of there in the next hour as a tornado touchdown. And actually now there is a tornado near the Longview, Texas area. Okay, let's go up here back to Kansas and see what's going on there in Wichita. We go live to Dennis Smith.
Thank you, Keith. As we continue to update the situation here in Wichita, we're looking at some very frequent lightning, as you can see behind me right now, as the thunderstorms continue to pull east of Sedgwick County, as well as moving into the Cowley and Butler County areas. Now, earlier this evening, we reported 3 separate incidences of tornadoes. One on the west side of town near Goddard, one that moved into the southwest side of town near the Hayesville area, moved through McConnell Air Force Base, and then a tornado warning within the last 30 to 40 minutes. Again, this was reported in southeast Sedgwick County near McConnell Air Force Base. The one that struck McConnell Air Force Base earlier this evening resulted in the school being damaged, the base hospital being damaged, as well as some churches and housing in the immediate area. Now, we've had numerous reports of injuries in the area. Emergency vehicles have been rushed throughout the region and continue to monitor the scene on that. And as far as the rest of the information, we'll be able to pass that along as soon as we get some more from McConnell Air Force Base. But right now, it looks like it's an improving picture for Wichita and Sedgwick County, but points east continue to be a problem, especially in Cowley, Butler counties, and south central Kansas, and as you've been updating for the rest of eastern Kansas. Right now, from southeastern portion of Wichita near McConnell Air Force Base, I'm Dennis Smith.
I have a question. We have just handed to me 6 unconfirmed dead in Andover. That's just east of your area. Do you hear any more about deaths or injuries in that area?
All we have so far of reports from the emergency management system throughout Sedgwick County is numerous injuries. We have not heard the reports of any deaths, but we have heard of numerous injuries, not only in Andover, but here and around the McConnell Air Force Base.
Okay, thanks. That's Dennis Smith reporting live from Wichita, Kansas. Also in Topeka, there appears to be a tornado in the Topeka area. Take cover immediately. This is a serious situation, and we will, of course, continue to update you here on the Weather Channel. After this,
a lot of snow falling in the Rockies, 1, 2, even possibly 3 feet at this late date as things begin to quiet down on the Pacific coast. But there is colder and even drier air, especially further south, bumping into some very warm and humid air, especially at low levels in the atmosphere, and setting up lines, sharp lines of demarcation between the clear skies and the clouds. Those are lines of thunderstorms, some of them individuals down around the Arklatex and toward Longview, Texas, on up towards Kansas and Missouri and Iowa and Nebraska, some of them with tornadoes tornadoes and some pretty widespread lighter rains on toward the eastern part of the nation. Let's check our current map right now, and we can spell out everything for you. There is some Topeka, Kansas. There's a tornado on the ground right now, a half-mile wide. Power lines are exploding. It's a damaging tornado. There's been damage around Wichita on toward Osage County, Oklahoma, and East Texas, and some damage, this was yesterday, in Florida. There is a high risk of severe weather, a swath of it right through the middle of the nation. Kinds of storms. There is an unconfirmed report of a tornado in Iowa, northwest Missouri, some large hail, Chanute and on into parts of Kansas east of Wichita, getting some extremely heavy storms now, mostly moving out of Nebraska. We're going to move out into a local forecast very soon and check your 5-day business plan.
Ground. I just checked some of the weather observations from all across Kansas, and Topeka has reported wind gusts as high as 60 miles per hour. This is a terrible night to cross Nebraska as well as Kansas. Some of the tops on these thunderstorms, now the highest thunderstorms of these red and the orange shaded areas, has been right around 58,000 feet. Just to give you some idea, we usually see during the height of the summer the peak of the tornado activity across Florida. They see a lot of days throughout the year where they see tornado activity. They usually see thunderstorm tops around 60,000 feet. So we're talking about huge thunderstorms in this area, capable of producing severe weather. This is Kansas. Here is Oklahoma. Oklahoma has reported severe weather as well. As a matter of fact, at Burbank, Oklahoma, in the past several hours, an 80-mile-an-hour wind gust. Let's show you the big picture and kind of explain what's going on. We have a cold core of air. We have warm, moist air coming up from the south. The two weather systems clash, and something has got to give. Take a look at what develops across eastern Kansas late in the afternoon. This is what we call a dry line. Ahead of it, we've got the moisture, the roticity, and the disturbed weather, and back behind it, the cooler, much cooler air. Just to give you some idea, Goodland, Kansas, temperatures in the 40s. Goodland is back over here. 40-degree weather back over here. Ahead of the frontal system, we've got temperatures in the mid-70s. That lets you know just how powerful this weather system is. Now, here's the national radar picture. We've been focusing on Wichita, and by the way, if you have loved ones in that area or across eastern Kansas, remember, this has been a very rough night. If you're having a hard time getting through on the telephone lines, it's very understandable. There are a lot of down trees, down power lines, lots of damage. Wichita, as you've heard, 5 reported deaths, 200 injuries. We have numerous reports that at the Air Force Base, McConnell Air Force Base, that the hospital there was leveled. Now, we'll have to confirm that situation, but we have lots of reports from the Air Force Base that there was widespread damage there. Let's move on and show you the forecast map, and we'll start out west. We've got a snowstorm across the northern and central Rockies, several feet already. And this is fairly typical of these systems that can really pack a wallop, a very dramatic cutting line between the warm and the cold air. And way on back of this weather system, it's very cold.
Big-time thunderstorms breaking out in that area, bearing down right now just outside of Des Moines, Iowa, a line of strong thunderstorms. And we've also had reports of large tornadoes causing a lot of damage, not only from the tornadoes, but baseball-sized hail has been reported. Now, just outside of Topeka, this is a very dangerous storm, a line of strong storms ripping through St. Joseph's, as well as parts of Iowa. Now, let's move on to the south and show you the big-time thunderstorms bearing down on him right about here, from parts of Iowa on into Oklahoma as well as Kansas. We're going to zoom in for you and sectorize it a little bit, showing you the severe thunderstorms that are bearing down on Des Moines, on down towards Lamoni, as well as St. Joseph and Topeka, Kansas. A number of reports of tornadoes around Topeka, as well as just outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is a tornadic cell right here. Tornado warning in effect for Bartlesville and Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we've had a number of reports of numerous tornadoes in and around Wichita throughout the evening. Baseball-sized hail being reported with some of these storms that ripped through Longview, Texas. Now, just outside of Lufkin, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for that particular cell. And the heavier rain continues to hound parts of Louisiana and Mississippi. On into Florida, we have some widely scattered showers. These are not intense, severe thunderstorms like
the Dakotas and Minnesota. Tornado watches were in effect from South Dakota all the way down to Texas and what we commonly call as Tornado Alley. It was a terrible day. Wichita, Kansas had a tornado that killed 4 people and 200 injured there. There were many other tornadoes sighted, baseball-sized hail in Oklahoma and Texas. Showers and thunderstorms developed over the southeast, and here's one of these big blobs of low pressure again that formed over us today that we call a mesoconvective complex, MCC to be short if you want to. But we are building up a little ridge of high pressure here that should give us a little better weekend, with many of the showers and thunderstorms tending to go around us this weekend and forming to the north. However, during all of the heating that we get tomorrow with some sunshine and warmer air to the south of the warm front.
Actually fleeing from this tornado, but it is indeed a very impressive sight to see tornadoes coming right out of the sky less than a mile away. This from Topeka, Kansas, hail falling about the size of marbles, and then this tornado hit McConnell Air Force Base in Kansas. Let me show you the satellite pictures and we can pinpoint the thunderstorms that produced these tornadoes. Now we have what's called a dry line. That is, drier air comes in off the deserts around a low pressure system and meets up with the very moist, humid, warm air out ahead of it, triggers typically a huge outbreak of tornadoes, and that's what happened tonight. Wichita to Topeka, as you saw, Barber, Oklahoma, also tornadoes into western Iowa. This trough, this line of low pressure, as it moves into the warmer air, is triggering the showers and thunderstorms, and will do so probably as it gets into Iowa, Illinois, and then through Missouri area. Big storms over Memphis, and then you see the clouds all over the Gulf Coast. Eastern satellite shows what's happening here in our region, and that's just some cloudy conditions. But the rain, for the most part, is breaking up, and that is good news. That by tomorrow morning, the warm front will lift to our north, leave us in the warm tropical air mass. And notice the showers stay.
Now, just outside of Des Moines, we've had reports of tornadic activity around Denison as well as Sac County, and then it is moving on towards Des Moines and Lamoni. All of those locations are reporting severe thunderstorms, and in fact, just outside of Kansas City right now, this particular cell, a tornado warning, is in effect, and this particular cell is definitely had a history of producing large damaging hail and tornadic activity. Let's head a little bit farther to the south and show you just outside of Tulsa. This is the cell that they put out the tornado warning for. Warning means that conditions are imminent. In fact, a tornado has been reported in that area, so hit the basement, as I said earlier, if that's at all possible. Just outside of Ponca City, we can see severe thunderstorms ripping through that area. And a tornado warning is in effect just outside of Texarkana, let's say around Mount Pleasant. That's the area of concern, and just outside of Lufkin. A lot of areas of concern, a lot of severe weather. We'll continue to update you on the situation, and like I said, stay tuned. We're going to try to go live to Wichita, where massive damage has occurred due to a tornadoes that ripped through Wichita, Kansas. Baseball-size hail being reported out of Longview, Texas. Golf ball-size hail in parts of Oklahoma. Tornado warning in effect right now around Bartlesville and Tulsa, Oklahoma. Please take cover there. Showers and thunder showers are just blowing up. They're exploding all along that dry line, and the bad news is we expect even more severe weather once again tomorrow. Of course, we'll be monitoring the situation for you. We hope to go live to Wichita, Kansas, and bring you some pictures of some of the damage that has occurred there.
Where the severe thunderstorms are occurring right now. Watches and warnings are posted for most of these areas. We have seen tornadoes from Nebraska through Kansas on southward into Oklahoma and Texas. Some very strong thunderstorms right now to the west and north of Topeka, Kansas, to the north of St. Joseph, and also as you head on over towards the border of Missouri and Iowa. We can take a look at another radar, and this one will take us a little bit further on up into Des Moines, Iowa, as you can see, all the way up towards Fort Dodge. Still looking at some strong to severe thunderstorms there. These thunderstorms have been producing strong gusty winds, lightning, hail, up to golf ball size hail was reported earlier this afternoon in indicating where the tornadoes touch down, and then the circles, the blue circles, indicate hail. Now, none of this has occurred today in Florida. This was all from Thursday. However, as we head on into the central sections of the U.S., from Texas all the way up through Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and into Iowa, that is from today. Very potent thunderstorms out there right now, and they are going to continue right through the evening hours. Now, we still have a massive cloudiness over the southeast, but these areas right here, underneath this ridge of clouds right there, that's where the severe storms are occurring. And if this were in motion, you would see that we have a counterclockwise circulation there. That is a massive area of low pressure that is dominating the western half of the United States. And it is the stark contrast between that cooler Canadian air coming in behind the system and the very warm, moist tropical air out ahead of it that is producing all of the strong to severe thunderstorms. Not to mention, we also had a dry line, and when that dry line catches up with the moisture, or the moisture catches up, or severe thunderstorms are occurring right now. Lots of moisture on tap from the damage.
Also, about 22 people have been confirmed.
Strong thunderstorms in the nation's heartland. So it has been a really nasty situation there. These thunderstorms have been known to produce tornadoes in Nebraska. We've had tornadoes in Nebraska, in Iowa, in Kansas, and we've also had them as far south as Oklahoma and Texas. And this situation is not getting any better. We hope to go live to Andover, Kansas, which is near Wichita, with Dennis Smith. In about 10 to 15 minutes, we'll keep our fingers crossed that we can give you the latest information from that part of the country. All right, back to the storm damage frame. What this is down in Florida, this occurred on Thursday. This, though, however, is an indication of what we have been dealing with throughout the day on Friday. What a nasty situation this has been. And the worst thing is that this frontal system is not going to be making much headway to the east. You may ask, why is that going to happen? Well, the winds aloft are flowing along the same lines as that frontal system. So that means there's no impetus coming in behind the system to push it on towards the
extensive damage. 22 people confirmed dead, a number of people injured, and many, many people, over 1,000 people, have been affected by this storm that ripped through that residential area. Let's zoom in on some of the severe weather that's still occurring. In parts of Iowa, just outside of Des Moines, a big line of thunderstorms moved on through with large damaging hail and gusty winds, and those showers and thunder showers are racing on towards the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. We're also seeing some severe weather on into parts of Kansas. Outside of Chanute, just outside of Kansas City, tornadic activity was reported. And the same has been true around Mount Pleasant in Texas. That's just outside of Texarkana. Ponca City and Tulsa and Bartlesville, Oklahoma have all reported some, well, tornadoes, as well as
a lot of Iowa and Nebraska. Right now with radars, here's Lisa.
Well, Mike, we can still definitely see the flashing light showing up on the radar, and these are indicating where the thunderstorms are right now. And you can see this line extending from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, all the way up to Chanute, Kansas. This is Wichita. Just east of Wichita and Andover, we've had a massive tornado touchdown there and really injuring a lot of people. Over 1,000 people affected by this tornado, and we're talking about deaths totaling at least 22. The movement is up to the northeast right now, north-northeast at 35 miles per hour. Taking you further into the Plain States, and we can definitely see the activity extends all the way through Iowa, back down into...
We have a tornado watch, several of them in effect till 2 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Also another in Oklahoma till 1 a.m. Central Time. On into Arkansas, Oklahoma, parts of Texas till 1 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Till 4 o'clock we have a severe thunderstorm watch from Iowa through parts of Missouri and southwest Missouri till 2 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Let's take a look at a radar in motion right now, and we can sum it up for you, noticing how things are moving along. That radar in motion showing that we have strong thunderstorms all the way up to Minnesota right now, a line of them, possible tornadoes in Iowa, back into Kansas. Still the extreme northeast corner of Kansas, northwest corner of Missouri is active, and southeast Kansas, northeast Oklahoma. Still a lot of action, no doubt about that. We can home in on this just west of Chanute, a strong thunderstorm. This one to the north of Joplin could have a tornado in it, as this in northeast Oklahoma, and more action just to the north of Tulsa is very, very intense. A little bit further north toward Lamoni, Iowa, strong thunder. North of St. Joe and south of St. Joe, these are potentially a severe thunderstorm.
Lee, if you're in this area, stay with us, and if you see they're scrolling on your screen, definitely read it and be forewarned that we do have some very hefty storms showing up in the area, moving off to the north, northeast at 35 miles.
From Wichita, Kansas today, from Iowa through Nebraska, Kansas, there was a tornado a half-mile wide between Topeka and Atchison, Kansas, on into Texas, baseball-size hail near the Oklahoma state line, and even yesterday in Florida. Let's show a satellite picture right now and show you in motion what's been going on. The area to watch is the drier air, the clearer air pushing in from the west, and an eruption of clouds, a straight line of them from North Dakota down through parts of Minnesota, Iowa, all the way into Oklahoma. Along that sharp line, that is where the severe weather has been. Isolated to the south, parts of Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, still some big thunderstorms, tornadic ones at that, especially into parts of Texas. We can check our radar nationally, and as the cloud shot shows, indeed we do have the radar showing some color, and the color is the heavier storms all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. We can show you a north-central shot in motion, now with strong thunderstorms through Des Moines, near Lamoni, down towards St. Joe, Missouri, all the way to Oklahoma and up to North Dakota. Dakota. Zeroing in on some tighter shots, we go down south into Texas, south of Lufkin. Very intense activity west of Alexandria, right now on the Oklahoma-Texas state line. This one's probably very severe east of McAllister and even west of Hot Springs. Some action that's really beginning to rumble now. A lot of the strong activity is past east of Wichita, but east of Chanute, a strong or severe storm near St. Joe, Missouri, up toward Lamoni, Iowa. We go further north and show you a line of storms now coming on into parts of Iowa and eventually up to Minnesota. Checking the potential for more of this, there's a high risk of severe weather.
Area, but a strong band from Oklahoma City up through Tulsa. This cell right there, tornadic. We have had a report of a couple of unconfirmed deaths with this tornadic cell as it moves northeast, and also more up toward Kansas City. One area devastated by a tornado this afternoon or this evening was just east of Wichita. Let's go live there to Dennis Smith and see what the latest is. Dennis, what's the story there in Andover?
Appears to be one of the worst storms to hit this community in western Butler County since 1958. Confirmed 22 people have died in this community. Again, it's in western Butler County, just east of Wichita. And in fact, it's affected over 1,500 people with the tornadic activity that's happened throughout this community and throughout south central Kansas this afternoon and evening. We'll try to recap everything that's been going on and things that we damage net. Local time. It continued to advance on off towards the northeast and hit the outskirts of eastern Wichita before crossing the Sedgwick County line and moving on over and towards around Andover. And that's where, unfortunately, we've had many reports of injured people. As many as 1,500 people have been affected by this particular tornado. Many areas, especially those living in mobile homes, where the mobile homes were merely smashed into pieces as the particular tornado went through the area and continued its course on off towards the northeast. During the evening, we've had sketchy reports, a couple, 5, 6, and now a confirmed report from the mayor of Andover of 22 dead. Again, the worst catastrophe to happen from severe weather and tornadoes in this immediate area since 1958, when a tornado ripped through Butler County on that particular time. In fact, we reflect back on this exact date in 1984, an outbreak of tornadoes not only hit Kansas, but Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, where something like 47 twisters killed 16 people. The date was April 26, 1984. We're continuing to keep an eye on what's going on in this immediate area, but it appears the threat of severe weather has passed well to the east of Wichita and south central Kansas area and continues to pull on away into eastern Kansas. We can see some distant lightning to our east. The moon is out overhead. It looks like the conditions are much improved from what went through this community earlier tonight. Again, to recap what's been going on in this south central areas of Kansas, we've seen numerous reports of tornado touchdowns. In fact, we even cited one from our cameras of the Weather Channel. That touchdown around Goddard in the western areas of Sedgwick County had occurred before 6 o'clock local time tonight. Then tornado reports started coming out of Harper, a county south of the Wichita area, moving up through Sumner as well as through Sedgwick County. Those are the tornadoes that touched down around the McConnell Air Force Base area. No effect to any of the aircraft in McConnell, no fatalities, but the base hospital was damaged, as well as some of the other facilities on base at McConnell Air Force Base. And then the tornado continued to move on off towards the northeast, and the sad story is coming from western Butler County, where 22 people have lost their lives, many injured, and they're still being transported to Wichita hospitals, and we're continuing to keep an update on that situation. A lot of traffic, a lot of emergency vehicles still several hours after the event happened. They're trying to get people that may be trapped still in their homes, clear the area out so they can get them to neighboring hospitals, and also try to assess the damage. We understand that the governor of Kansas, Joan Finney, has already declared this area a disaster area. We'll continue to monitor the scene, but things are actually starting to slow down a little bit because of the lateness of the hour, and not much can be accomplished in darkness, except for those areas where there still may be question of fatalities and some of the damage. We'll keep you posted on that as well. So reporting live from Wichita, we'll keep you, and Wichita and surrounding areas, and around the Andover vicinity east of Wichita. We'll keep you updated. I'm Dennis Smith.
All right, Dennis, you'll excuse me as if I ask you a question that you've already heard. I had some audio problems and couldn't hear you. Can you hear me, Dennis?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. What kind of warning did these people have before the storm hit?
All the way down the line, from the high-risk possibility that we were even showing on the Weather Channel this afternoon, to the tornado watches that were out in hours in advance, to the warnings. They were well done in advance as well. It was a good system and went all the way through the evening. Unfortunately, it probably still caught many people off guard, as we could find out. And also, the unfortunate circumstance is that the tornado did go through a mobile home area. So there were a lot of the fatalities that did occur in the Andover area were in and around the mobile home area.
Okay, in Andover, Kansas, that's where most of the fatalities occurred. For folks who might have relatives out across the country, what part of Andover was hardest hit? The west side, the south side, which area?
It appeared the tornado, as far as we can tell up to this point, went right through Andover, but it appears anywhere from southeastern areas of Sedgwick County to the central or western side of the areas of Andover were hit the hardest. And again, we've already seen some helicopters flying over the area, and we will surely get more information as daylight reappears of some of the damage that's been occurring in this immediate area.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. That's Dennis Smith reporting live from Andover, Kansas. Severe tornado roared through the area earlier this afternoon. We will continue to update you on the situation there and be going back live to Wichita. Right now, we want to again look at that latest radar out of the area, and you can see still some strong thunderstorms. Here's Wichita. Dennis was reporting just east of there. Things have cleared out. There is some ground clutter, so ignore this. But to the east, still some strong bands of thunderstorms pulling up through northeastern Oklahoma. This particular cell right there, as you can see moving right here, has had a history of a tornado and even a couple of unconfirmed deaths with that tornado or that tornadic cell as it heads northeast. Other severe thunderstorms all the way up toward Kansas City and into southern parts of Iowa. So it's severe weather definitely out there this evening. We will continue to watch the situation. As mentioned, go back to Dennis and see the latest.
Oklahoma and Kansas and Nebraska have been especially hard hit recently. A national radar showing the precipitation lining up right with the clouds. Some very strong storms still in Kansas and Oklahoma. Wichita's been hit a couple of times. They've had at least a half a dozen tornadoes. Arkansas and Texas very active, and even further east, some heavy rain developing in parts of Georgia and South Carolina. We could see some of those strong storms spiraling up into eastern North Dakota, Minnesota now, getting stronger in Iowa. Even the northwest corner of Missouri and even southwest Missouri is in line for some pretty rough and tumble weather. Going south, first of all, we go into Texas, and just want to remind you that in southern Tyler County there's a tornado warning in effect, a tornado 10 miles west of Warren, Tyler County being right about here. Also on the Texas-Oklahoma border, we do have a tornado moving through McCurtain County in southeast Oklahoma. Tornado warning there, right on the Texas line. That's right about here. A little bit further up in Oklahoma, still more action. Craig County, Oklahoma. Tornado 6 miles west of White Oak, moving northeast, and that is right in this area. Up a little bit further north, we can even go on into that area and show you what's going on in northeast parts of Oklahoma. Right about here, a couple of severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings 5 miles west of Afton, Oklahoma. And if that's not enough, on into Missouri, we've got a warning from a tornado coming out of Oklahoma in this area, just north of Joplin, some severe weather. Stay with us here on the Weather Channel. We do have lots more severe weather coverage coming.
To Chanute, Kansas right now, moving right on over into parts of Missouri as well. And all this moving up to the northeast at around 35 miles per hour. It gives you an idea of what's going on in the Missouri area, and that line of thunderstorms also heading up into Iowa as well. All this generally moving up to the north. You can see all this red and yellow. That's the very heavy thunderstorms right now. We're talking about some golf ball size hail and some very hefty wind associated with this system. Another vantage point over into Arkansas. Near Hot Springs, Arkansas, and stretching up to Harrison, Arkansas. Really some hefty thunderstorms, a very strong line throughout the evening. This has continued to be associated in Arkansas, associated with this weather here. And also we're seeing even some thunderstorms kicking up into parts of Mississippi as well, moving generally off to the northeast right now at around 30 to 35 miles per hour.
North Dakota and Minnesota now with thunder. A big line of thunderstorms, central Iowa, down through Missouri and Kansas, and even some tornadic thunderstorms back into Oklahoma, most likely. Let's take a look at one, a close-up into Iowa, and we apparently have tornadoes coming out of this one. Let me tell you what we have. There's a tornado warning till 45 after the hour in northwestern Wayne County, a tornado touchdown in the Allerton area right about here. We have another warning for tornadoes in Lucas County, Iowa. Possible tornadoes developing near the city of Lucas and Chariton in south central Iowa. So right about this area, very, very severe weather and some very strong storms working their way down through Missouri as well. We go into Texas noticing some severe weather, even possible tornadoes in Tyler County. Right on the line now in extreme southeast Oklahoma, possible tornadoes coming out of this. Very strong storm east of McAllister, west of Hot Springs, not exactly a weak storm either. On into the St. Joe, Missouri area, very strong thunderstorms. And extreme northeast Oklahoma, moving toward Joplin and parts of southwest Missouri. They have a tornado warning out in this area as those storms come out of Oklahoma. You'll want to stay tuned to the Weather Channel. We'll be checking.
The reason why. We have a cold core of air which is centered across the northern Great Plains. Here's a frontal system. I'm going to tell you about maybe some technical aspects of the storm system. This is referred to as a dry line. That means not past this point. We've got all this vorticity, a lot of moisture which is building here. On the back side of it, we've got some cooler air. You've got this clash of these air masses and something gives, and it gives in the form of this violent weather that we've seen tonight across Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas. We're getting reports out of Tyler, Texas, not in the city, but in some of the more remote areas around Tyler, of some tornado touchdowns. Heavy downpours in a place called Bullard, Texas earlier in the evening. Baseball-size hail reported. If I were up here for the next half hour, I couldn't tell you about the dozens and dozens of severe weather reports we've seen across the country. Let's show you pictures of Wichita once again. Tornado touchdown, a phenomenal picture of this tornado. And Earl Evans, you are to be congratulated for standing there and taking these pictures, because I can imagine that not very many people would stand right in the path of this huge tornado which broke out across eastern Kansas during the afternoon hours. We had numerous reports of tornado touchdowns. Usually what happens is these tornadoes touch down, they lift back up in the cloud, and then they touch back down again. And as you can see here, they can be quite devastating and deadly. Now, one word of mention once again, and that is a tornado watch means conditions are favorable for tornado development in your area. And all evening long, we've been seeing tornado watches issued along this frontal boundary. But if a tornado warning is issued for your area, take cover immediately. You saw the dramatic pictures that we had at the beginning of CNN's evening news of those folks who scattered under an overpass to get to safety. If you're in a building, get to an interior wall or to a basement. If you are in your car, don't try to outrun the tornado. It is nearly impossible. Get out of the car into a low-lying area. If you're inside the house, protect yourself with perhaps some blankets or some clothing. Let's move on and talk about the early weather picture across Wichita. We think it's this cell that moved towards the northeast and plowed across Wichita. Let's take you to a later shot. This is about 2 hours later, their local radar picture. Here's Oklahoma. Here's Wichita once again, and Topeka got it as well. Let me show you the forecast map. We are not out of
tornadoes in Allerton, Iowa, and on northward just a little bit. Tornado warning still in effect. Northwest Missouri, very strong storms around St. Joe, on into Kansas, Oklahoma, and even on down into Texas. There it is between Ottumwa and Lamoni, apparent tornadoes coming out of this storm. Be very careful here. And just northeast of St. Joseph, Missouri, very, very severe weather situation. Into Texas, southeast corner of Oklahoma, We have a strong storm, could be tornadic, moving into Missouri. Tyler County, Texas, moving on eastward toward Louisiana. And on east of McAllister, one big and intense thunderstorm. All the action moving on now into Missouri, southeast of Knob Noster, northeast of Kansas City. Lots and lots of action on the map, even to the north, right through Iowa. We've had in 1991. You can blame it on a cold, low-pressure system now spiraling on through the northern Rockies, and you can blame 1 to 2 feet or more of snow in the Rockies for that, too. That cold air and even dry air in some cases, especially south, is bombarding right on into some moist air coming up from the Gulf of Mexico. Clash of the air masses, different cold air aloft, warm moist air below. That's the formula. A line of severe thunderstorms now clear down into Texas, moving toward Louisiana, Arkansas. Severe weather as far north, tornadoes as far north as Iowa, apparently. Some lighter rains moving toward the northeast, and some heavy thunder now in parts of Louisiana. Lighter shower activity towards South Carolina. The west coast calming down a little bit, just some snow showers.
Bigger storms, as you can see, to the east of Chanute and on towards, this is Sedalia, Missouri right there, so to the southwest of that area. Then to the north of Kansas City, and then to the northeast of St. Joseph, Missouri. We now have thunderstorms that are moving in towards Ottumwa, Iowa. These are racing to the northeast, still at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Please, please be very cautious. These thunderstorms have been known to spawn tornadoes, large hail, strong gusty winds, downpours, the whole 9 yards. We can take a look a little bit further on towards
through northeastern Oklahoma. Another line coming through, heading right toward Tulsa. Hardest hit, though, this evening, about 6:30, was the Wichita area, just east of Wichita. We want to go live there to Dennis Smith in Andover, Kansas. Dennis, what's the story there?
Keith, it continues to be a story that saw a tornado touch down on the ground in south-central Kansas, south of Wichita, about 6:30 tonight. Ripped right on through McConnell Air Force Base, leaving the base hospital damaged, heavily damaged, as well as many other facilities at the Air Force Base. The good news out of all that story at McConnell is none of the planes were affected and there were no fatalities, and very few, if any, injuries. However, as the tornado continued on the ground and moved towards the northeast, as it crossed out of Sedgwick County into Butler County, unfortunately 22 people lost their lives. A lot of those fatalities occurred in a mobile home area. In fact, they're still trying to assess the damage. You don't see too much of the activity behind us as far as flashing lights or a lot of damage, because we can't get any closer than where we're at right now. They keep blockading everything off, so the main reason is to get the people that were involved in the homes that were damaged, get them safely to a hospital, or to go through some of the rubbish to make sure that no one else is involved in the rubbish. They've had quite a few emergency vehicles leaving this scene in Andover and returning them to hospitals in the Wichita area, and they have continued over the last couple of minutes, even at this hour. We've seen many trucks that represent returning power to this area, or perhaps trucks that are like Salvation Army or even Red Cross trucks that are moving into the area to help the more than 1,500 people that are still affected by this tornado that moved through earlier this evening. And again, kind of a recap, unfortunately 22 people lost their lives in Andover, Kansas, east of Wichita this evening from a tornado that ripped through about 6:30 to 7 o'clock tonight, and as many as 1,500 people are still affected by this storm, whether they be without their homes or live in a damaged home, as the severe weather struck south central Kansas earlier this evening. Keith?
Dennis, can you actually take the crew in there and see some of the damage that has occurred?
As far as we can get right now is still outside of the damage area. They're doing an excellent job of trying to attend to the injured people first, and that's why they're cordoning off the area and not allowing any closer to this. They're also trying to go through the damage, go through the rubble to make sure everyone is accounted for before they allow anybody else to get any closer. So thus far this evening, even though it may be something like 3 or 4 hours later, they are still keeping people away so they can get in there and at least have some cleanup, so when the crews do come in the light of day, more than what's already in there now, they'll have a lot better chance of cleaning up more quickly.
So you have any totality or any estimate of how much damage has occurred there?
Not at this stage in the game. All that we've heard from radio reports, all that we've talked to from the sheriffs, and all that we've talked to from the civil defense is extensive damage through Andover, and it's in west central Butler County, east of Wichita. But as far as the damage and a dollar assessment, no figure at this point.
All right, that's Dennis Smith reporting live from Andover, Kansas, hit hard by a tornado this evening. with as many as 22 people confirmed dead. Back to the radar again, we will show you that those strong thunderstorms fortunately have pushed out of the Wichita and Andover areas. Now, though, heading into western Missouri, up through Iowa, and all the way down into northeastern Oklahoma. An area hard hit around Tulsa. A couple of tornadoes touched down there, and it looks as if those strong thunderstorms are out of the way, but another line is coming in with reports of winds gusting up to 70 miles per hour with that. Severe weather continues through the evening, very late this evening, and here at the Weather Channel.
Of those storms are, and we will zero in for you. This is Grand Island today, and we'll take one more local radar stop that'll take us a little bit lower into the lower Mississippi Valley, eastern Texas, on into Louisiana, looking at some strong thunderstorms there. We'll be taking a look at your weekend travel.
Look at this cell just northeast of Tulsa heading toward Joplin. That one contains a tornado. There is a tornado warning out just to the south here of Joplin for that thunderstorm. Notice the central parts of Kansas hit hard earlier this evening. Things are beginning to clear out there. Wichita, Kansas here just to the east, Andover, that area hit excessively hard by a tornado this evening. We'll go live there to Dennis Smith. Dennis, what's the latest there in Andover?
Thank you, Keith. As we continue to monitor this disastrous story in south central areas of Kansas, which began a little bit earlier this evening at about 6:30 local time, a tornado touching down south of Wichita. Actually, there were several tornadoes in and around the Wichita area, but the one of concern that affected Andover touched down originally about 6:30 p.m. local time south of Wichita near the McConnell Air Force Base area. Passed through McConnell. There was a little bit of good news reported with that particular tornado as it moved on through McConnell. None of the airplanes were affected, none of the aircraft affected, and there were no fatalities. Unfortunately, though, it did go through the base hospital and destroyed that building, as well as many other buildings and the facilities on the McConnell Air Force Base site. Then the storm continued to move on off towards the northeast. From all reports that we have heard, as the tornado stayed on the ground continuously from McConnell Air Force Base all the way up into western Butler County around Andover. That's about 20 to 25 miles east of downtown Wichita. And as it passed through this community, even with decent warning ahead of time, unfortunately 22 people lost their lives. We've had reports as many as 100 to 150 people have been injured, and more than 1,500 people have been affected by this tornado outbreak in Sedgwick as well as Butler County. Now, where we're standing right now, we're still about 1 mile to 2 miles from the command post, which is very close to the heart of the damage in and around the Andover area. Now, as the storm moved on through, a lot of sightseers came out, and they had problems with the emergency vehicles trying to get the injured out of here and get them to neighboring hospitals. But that seems to have been cleared out a little bit. We're running at about 4 to 5 hours from the scene at the time it happened, and we're starting to see the emergency vehicles slowing up their trickle out of here. It looks like they've pretty well gone through most of the damage, but they're keeping us and everybody else out except for those that are needed the most. Red Cross, Salvation Army, and some of the power companies to restore power in this immediate area. We've lost phone service, so community areas trying to call into Andover are having some problems, or even trying to call out.
Echoes. This is the real thing, though. On towards Des Moines, down towards Lamoni and Ottumwa, Iowa. Scattered showers and even some strong thunder showers still occurring. Let's follow that line of severe weather on through parts of Kansas as well as Joplin, Missouri, into Arkansas, just outside of Tulsa.
You're all right. Don't put your hand.
It's okay. The unmistakable horror of a threatening funnel cloud, a punishing series of tornadoes rips through the southeast portion of Kansas.
The twisters carved a widespread path of destruction. Homes are leveled in a number of cities. Power remains out, and the number of dead and injured is rising. Hello, this is News 9 Update. I'm Brian Christie. Rick Moore is off tonight.
I'm Jonathan Mann. Nature summoned its fury and let it loose on the southeast corner of Kansas just a few hours ago. It came in the menacing form of a broad, dark tornado. The splintered remains of homes were tossed by whirling winds, and the twister engulfed anything and everything in its path. Authorities say as many as 28 people are dead and at least 200 others injured, many of those in critical condition. The tornadoes blew into the southeast portion of Kansas. Wichita was especially hard hit, also feeling the wrath of punishing winds the towns of Greenwich and nearby Andover. The mayor of Andover says 22 people died in his town during the barrage of twisters, and that the injuries are too numerous to calculate right now. At least 6 other people in neighboring areas are also reported dead. Authorities say the savage winds wrecked 500 homes in Andover, a town of just 5,000 people. The Butler County Sheriff says he fears injured people are still trapped in the wreckage. The governor of Kansas has given the okay for National Guard troops and highway patrolmen to aid in the emergency effort effort. Power is out in some towns and debris litters a large area. Many people say they escaped with only their lives and watched their personal belongings simply swept away. Reporter Greg Jarrett and photographer Ted Lewis of station KNSW were out in the field and captured the high drama of coming face to face with killer winds.
We were heading south on the Kansas Turnpike. Suddenly, the vague shape of a tornado began to appear in the direction we were heading.
Let's go, Craig, let's go. Listen to the wind, let's go, let's go, let's go.
As we videotaped the twister, it began to appear larger and larger, heading in our general direction. At times, it appeared to disappear, only to touch down again or reappear seconds later. When it became clear that it was heading directly toward us, we jumped in our car.
Go, go, go. Shoot it. Better floor it, better floor it. Shoot it.
As the twister moved closer, we tried to outrun it in our car, trying to make it to a bridge overpass where other cars and trucks were hiding. We made it just in time, seconds before the tornado hit.
Get up under the girders. Is that where we want to go? Yes. Underneath the girders. Keep rolling, Ted. It's coming at us. Keep rolling.
Don't worry about it. Hang on, Terry. Now what you doing?
It sounded like a freight train. It just passed right on top of us. People very upset. People underneath the girders of this overpass. They're still hanging on for their lives. It was a tremendous rush. Flying debris everywhere. Some people look to be like they're all right, but they have scratches and bruises. Here comes another one. Hang on, Ted.